What's going on? It's your boy Will Mike Craven. Hit that like, share, subscribe button, and without further ado, on to the video. What's going on? It's your boy Will Mike Craven. Glad to be doing this joint on today. In which, in relationships, it's one of the key components that I think that a lot of people have a hard time uh, managing through. Evaluating. One of the big things I love to say on this on most of these videos is really about evaluating, and pretty much just dealing with things, whether that's people, issues, circumstances, whatever the case is. Um, Sometimes we mishandle things and mishandle people. So this is kind of a joy to do as well as a pain to do, but it has to be done. So I'm gonna deal with the good stuff first. Um, and the good stuff is stuff like this. You know, you see these are flowers. Um, Beautiful that I might add. But situations, they come into our life. Um, we generally the good things are generally like this, and there are good things that come with it, and there are bad things that come with it. And the bad things are they stick out a lot, but when those things that are good and they come into our life, um, it's like this. It's like this beautiful flower, and what tends to happen is sometimes we take this for granted, and because it's beautiful, it's there, and we get the bask and marvel. But over time, when you don't take care of that which is beautiful and a benefit to you, it starts to die. It no longer becomes beautiful. And this happens a lot in your relationship when you're with the other person. And they're beautiful in the beginning, but like I say, everything in regards to relationships and anything in this life takes work. We get lazy and complacent and we don't put in the work. You have to put this in a certain type of atmosphere for it to flourish. Things in your life are like this flower. You have to put various things in your life in order for them to flourish. If you don't, this is not going to serve you well. Now, I used to say this a lot when I was in my early 20s, in which how I view women, because most of the stuff I say on here is generally towards men. So I used to say a lot that women were like flowers. Um, they help you breathe. They take in the oxygen. They're pretty much a help to you. Plants and flowers in general, they're a help and a benefit for us. We just have to know how to utilize it. And when they're not utilized, they're just there. And a lot of women start to understand now that they don't just want to be there. They want to simply add value, in which, like the flower, it helps you breathe. It takes away the CO2. So a lot of times women will do desire to want to take some of the problems off of men. They want to matter. So, but if you don't treat this right, certain situations or whatever it is, the relationship you're in, what comes into your life, this is what you're doing to it. Take one that's closer. You're doing this to it. I've taken this off. I've taken two off. So you've taken this off, and it falls down to the ground. And this is another thing why I say as men, we have to be master gardeners, because when this happens, you need to be paying attention that you did that. You need to own up to the fact that you did that. It's now here. It can't go back unless you've planted these and they're in a certain in an environment for them to grow again the next year. If not, this is going to be over and done with. In time, it's going to be over and done with, which is why a lot of relationships have this issue. We do this, and then we do it again, We do it again, taking whatever it is, the individual, the situations in your life for granted, and you're steady doing this until the point you've gotten it to here. Now, this one particular one right here is now missing. It's missing. It's missing. It's missing. And the problem with a lot of us is we wait till it gets to this point to where now we want to salvage it. You've done a lot of damage here by neglecting and taking it for granted, or taking your issues and frustrations out on this right here, the person that should be dear to you, who's holding you close. Because even in being over this, I can smell these flowers, but like I said, a lot of them are designed to take away carbon dioxide. They're designed to help you. Now, no, I don't have the actual one pulled up for this one. And to be perfectly honest, I forget which kind these are. I know this is some kind of daisy, but I forget which kind it is. So I didn't pull up the thing that actually tell me what this is beneficial for. My apologies. Long day, and I had originally started to do this video, Jesus Christ, like at 4 o'clock. I sat down, it was like almost 4 o'clock. My watch now is saying it's 9:26. It stays out here, so it's technically like this was like 5 hours ago. So my apologies. But once I take this off, this is pretty much how it gets. There's 2 left on here. This is how it gets in some people's relationship, to where it's like, oh, there's a problem now. Oh, we need help. Well, the problem, yes, you may need help, but you should have already put yourself in a position to be knowledgeable. Like right now, I messed up because a lot of things happened, and I did have this actual flower here for what this exactly was, but I misplaced it. And then I finally sit down and like, oh, I don't want to go another day before this stuff starts dying on me. I don't want to shoot this video out and pay this money for this stuff. So this is typical. What I just did is how we typical do relationships. Unfortunately, now I'm guilty myself. Just by this here thinking about doing this is because when you have something like this as a man or even as a woman, if this we flip the roles, but mainly as a man, you should have already dived in before you started handling this and being around it and taking it on to knowing what this is, knowing what it needs, knowing not to do this to it. Now, me plucking this would be something we think a little kid would do, which would mean a kid is not knowledgeable enough and understanding that, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that to the flower. Why would you do that to the flower? You're destroying it. But then now just imagine you're with this person for years. You're with this person for years and you're doing this. And even if you're not doing this, someone else is coming along doing this to your person. They're coming along doing this to your person. Life is hitting them. And this is steady happening. And you're doing nothing to replenish them. And in some cases, the whole thing has come off. This plant here is now becoming wounded. It's hurting. And it's come along in your life to add value, to give value. And it has its value by you appreciating it. This plant is doing what it is that it's naturally supposed to do. Or an individual that comes in your life should be doing exactly and naturally what it is they're supposed to do. And in them doing so is where you find the value. They should be coming in and say, hey, I'm a plant. I'm valuable. I know my worth and blah, blah, blah. No. When you fully understand the essence of who they are, you've learned them, you become knowledgeable, then you understand how they should be utilized and applied. And in doing so, that value raises for you. Their value raises based upon the needs that you have. But if you're not knowledgeable up here, you cannot have your needs met, or they cannot go above and beyond of what they think they're worth. Because trust me, if you have the knowledge and you're putting them in the position, they're going to be above and far beyond worth more than what they actually thought they were. And when that transpires, you show them just based off upon your appreciation and affection, because this requires affection. This requires affection. You have to be sensitive to it in order for it to live. Because this is two things here is happening here. This is helping you live, and in return, you're helping it live. That's why you have to be knowledgeable, because you want to, if you keep this alive, it's going to help you breathe better. It's going to do all the things that it's supposed to do, and it is designed to help you. On a sad day, it's there. Just like the individual. We should be taught certain things. This is why I say it is important that we gain tools, because in life, you're going to need to apply these tools in certain situations. So in a situation where something was troubling or distraught, this would be brought and put in front of you, and it makes you feel better. That's what an individual does when they come into your life. They're going to add value. That's how you see the value. So you have to be attentive, pay attention, evaluate in the situation as to where this becomes beneficial to you. But it's not going to become beneficial if you're constantly allowing this to happen. If all of these are coming off, and see, you may not be able to see on here, but here's one that was trying to bud. If I take care of this, there are other little ones on here that are trying to bud and bloom. They're going to do that if this is taken care of. If not, it'll be dead in a matter of days, if not weeks. It is very important that as a man, that you have to be knowledgeable and take care of this. Now, also in a sense, because I'm talking in the sense of it being a woman, but there's also in the sense the good things about yourself. This also represents that. If you don't build yourself up, you're constantly tearing down the good things about yourself. You're mishandling them. That's just not something that you should be doing. You shouldn't do that. It should be a benefit for you. Now, this is just one. Here's something, another aspect that's beautiful. Another good thing may possibly about yourself, or another good thing that's possibly about the other person. But here's the thing, like I say, when it comes to women, these two aren't the same. You can't handle them the same way. They both require something similar, but not the same attention to detail, as well as care. You're not going to give it the same type of care. This is something totally different. Matter of fact, this here states that this would be one of the Egyptians believed that symbolized a closeness to nature and a devotion to the sun, whereas the Celts thought they lessen the sorrows and stress of everyday life. Generally, Gabrias, hopefully I pronounced that right, symbolize innocent, purity, cheerfulness, and loyal love. So this here is what that represents. Cheerfulness, loyal love, purity, innocence. So this can also represent the innocence that in you. But if you start doing certain things and you're destroying your innocence, it's not going to be it's going to be look totally different. If this was a party of innocence and you're just like, just something coming along, you just ripped it off. Like, what are you doing? That's what some people say. Or this way, sticking up. You take it off. And even in this also in relation to the woman you're dealing with. If you start destroying her innocence, and there are guys that'll do that. They run across. Oh, she look beautiful. Oh man, I want that. And next thing you know, you're destroying her innocence. You know what you've done? This is what you've done. You've damaged it. Why would you damage something beautiful? You have to think. You have to evaluate. This is stuff you have to process. Everything is not meant for as soon as you see it, you gotta have it, you want it, and then you do what you want and do as you please. And next thing you know, because you're unlearned, you start doing stuff like this. You start pulling pieces off, and then next thing you know, it was beautiful at one point, but it's just slowly deteriorating because you're damaging it. You're ignorant. This is why I say men aren't toxic. No, they're ignorant. They move in ignorance. They don't move in toxicity. They move in ignorance. And because their ignorance then turns around and creates toxic. Their ignorance causes the toxic. So you go just frivolously doing all kind of, this no longer looks the same. And it definitely doesn't look like this one. You're damaging it. And women are so sensitive, and there are certain situations in your life that may be so sensitive that you could damage it to the point of beyond repair. Why would you do that? That's not something beneficial to you. It's no longer beneficial to you. And now, because this here is my table, which was another video I said, I don't ask women what they bring to the table. This now is my table. Look what I've done to my table. So if these were women and I'm evaluating them and I'm turning around and I'm doing this and all this kind of stuff, look what I've done to my table. Would you want to come to my table and sit here and eat if it looked like this? Matter of fact, if this was a woman and I still had her here and you seeing this at my table, are you going to sit there as a woman? No, you're not. And as a man, you have to actually think the stuff that you're doing is visible and it's on display. It's on display. So any other woman who's up on game or has another man there to actually help her along the way and put her on game, they're going to show her and tell her all this, like, hey, as we call them, red flags. You see this? You see what they're doing? Leave him alone. No, he's not good for you. He's not the leader that you need. He's not in position to do what it is he do. Why? Because he's ignorant. He don't know what the heck he doing. He will damage you. There is no reason why a woman should put herself in that predicament, especially if there's someone there to actually tell her and show her what's actually happening. This guy doing this, you're not ready. You shouldn't even be in a relationship because all you're doing is damaging something that was beautiful. Now, I'm not going to entertain all like, oh, she was damaged already. Well, what the heck you think happened before you then? If she was damaged already, that means if she's not at this table and she comes to my table like this, as a man, you should be doing one or two things. One, the first thing you should be doing is evaluate. The second thing you should be doing is evaluating yourself and understanding that, do I have the tools to bring this back to life? Now, if you do, then you cross over to the third. You need to be saying, okay, am I good enough to put in work for this? Because this is going to require work. It's going to require work. And if you're not willing to do the work, move it along. Move it along. You have no business touching it. But unfortunately, in today's society, there'll be plenty of men that say, oh, well, it's all right. The leaves is fat. Oh, it's plump here and there. You know what I'm saying? That look good to me. Let me go ahead and tap that a little bit. Now that you done tapped that a little bit, you done tore off another piece of her. Because when these in a spiritual connection, this is automatically coming into my space. And what this is coming with this being in my space, it's giving me an energy. It's giving off a spirit. It's giving me something. And because it will move to me to do what it is that it automatically needs to happen. Because think about this. I already said various plants They will take in CO2. That's part of their design. To help, as we like to say, you find a wife, you find a helpmate, right? So this is here to help me. So with this being here, it's going to gravitate to me because I'm breathing this in. So it's going to feel that from me. It's going to feel it. So if I'm coming in here and doing what it is that I'm not supposed to be doing, and I'm doing other things, I'm now damaging this. Why? Why would you do that? That's extremely selfish to do. That's not something you should be doing. But for the most part, that's what happens. But also, like I said, not just from a woman's standpoint, the good things about yourself, when you lack the self-esteem that you should, and this is either a goal or a vision, and you're steady tearing it down by doing things that you shouldn't be doing, you're damaging yourself. Like I say, this isn't just women as a representation. This is also you. The good things in your life for you. And if you're not treating it right, you're damaging yourself as well. But for those who come in our life, who've come, and mean us well and to benefit us, you have to understand that you have a responsibility to learn them. It's a lifelong journey. You have a responsibility to learn them. And if you're not learning them, you're doing a disservice to them. Send them on their way. Be man enough to say, I don't know enough to be able to do what it is I need to do with you. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. If you was knowledgeable enough for this person, if this was a woman, you didn't have enough knowledge for her. There's nothing wrong with you having knowledge for this one. And you do have the knowledge and say, okay, I don't have the knowledge for you. I'm not going to destroy you. I'm just going to send you on your way. It was nice meeting you. All right. Yeah. Hopefully you get what it is you need. But because you know this one, stick to this one. You know it. This is beautiful. This is beautiful, and this is beautiful. They're beautiful in their own right. You don't to take the time and just damage this one, and then it's like, oh, okay. See, and this be the problem. You get this one, I don't want that one. Then you got this one, and you damage that one. Then you get this one, you damage that one. Now you say, well, man, I messed up. Well, maybe I should go back and get the first one. Now you want to bring the first one back, and then they reluctantly want to be in your presence because they're still like this. And what do? You do that even more. It's like you've now turned around and sent them on a second cycle of your foolishness, your ignorance, because you didn't learn the first time. So what happens now? Now you've left this individual in shambles. Which is why we have a lot of individuals out here who have trust issues, because you're plucking from them. And you're not watering, you're not feeding them, you're not giving them sunlight. And when they are on display, now they went from looking beautiful to now looking rugged. And now, since we're in this age now where everybody wants to turn around and say something is toxic, because your ignorance, you've now created them to be toxic. That's you cause that. As a man, you cause that. So if you're hearing a woman turn around and saying this, chances are some man caused that issue. Now you say, oh, it's such and such, women, such and such. Look here. We, as men, we make the conscious choice and decision to not be involved. And a lot of times, if we're not involved over time, it's because we didn't do our due diligence and we were being ignorant to the situation. I don't care how you want to say she's done this and this and this. I've seen some treacherous women out here, but trust and believe that treachery was blossomed into that, And because a man wasn't present or let her have her way and she started to run amok, it's a man at the root of that. At the root of that somewhere. It's even with her evolving, because once people get a taste of power, they're going to keep evolving. They're going to want more and more and more. But at some point, there was a man who was not there, not doing what the heck it is he should have been doing. But yeah, he just can't. If you go reaching back and causing problems without getting the necessary tools to help this grow, you're doing it a disservice. And that leads me to this individual who comes along. Now, this individual doesn't seem to be as beautiful as the other two, but this individual is powerful. And we all know our aloe vera to be a powerful healing component. But again, you have to know what's necessary to keep this thing alive. And as you see, I let a few days go by, it started to die. but yeah, you have to keep this. You have to do the necessary things to keep this alive. This will keep you, but you have to keep it. And that's the most important thing that we have to understand when it comes to relationships. It's not one-sided. Work has to be done on both sides. So this comes into your life. This is a healer. And a lot of times, and before I really dive off into this even further, into that, those who are this, you have to understand, because a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm always healing people, but nobody heals me. You have to position yourself. Well, first of all, you have to understand that if you know you're a healer, that's what people are going to come to you for. So you have to hope and pray that someone understands the whole garden essence of taking care of you, as in so you can actually take care of them. And that's pretty much watering you, feeding you, putting you in the sunlight, doing the necessary things to help you help them. And if you're not involved with someone who's going to help you help them, you technically have to basically have legs on the bottom. It is. Do what it is that's necessary for that assignment, for whether it's just to pick off a little bit and get up and walk away. But with that being said, as an individual on this side of the table, and this is coming to me, you have to know that this, now see, in some sense, me peeling this, this didn't feel good for a little bit. So, yeah, because this didn't feel good, this is kind of also like I said with the other one, there are various situations in your life. So even with people coming into your life, they come into your life to heal you. You have to let it do what it's going to do. And if you don't let it do what it's just going to do, you're not going to get your healing. You have to be, and you also have to understand that if this is coming to you, then you have to be in a position to accept the fact that you need to be healed. Also, if someone is actually bringing, now, if this was the substance that's just coming in your life, you have to embrace the person who knows what they're doing with this to actually apply it as well. But a lot of times, if this is getting broke off and to be used, you're gonna have to replenish this plant, or you're gonna have to constantly keep using this for it to do what it's going to do. If not, eventually you're gonna run out of supply, and when the supply runs out, it's like the saying goes, you don't miss the well until the water runs dry. Well, if you use this up without making any type of provisions, you're doing yourself a disservice in the long run. And that's part of an aspect of where a lot of people want to get in relationships for love. And like this, what the love would be, oh, it's applying. There's a healing process, appreciation there. But the problem is they don't plan for the long term, thinking like, oh, okay, what happens when the love runs out? Most people don't think about that aspect. They're not preparing for that. So this is why I also say you have to be knowledgeable and have some understanding. Like, okay, I understand that if I keep plucking this to keep using it, I better be in a position to where, okay, like there's two parts growing here. I gotta make sure that I'm if I can get through certain situations in my life that don't require this, I'm gonna deal with it. Why? Because I don't want to use this up. This is once again why I say this doesn't determine its value. As people, we like to say we have a tendency of thinking we determine our value. No, the value raises when you start having understanding of what this person is doing, what they're capable of, and how it benefits you. When you do that, then it's like, okay, the value then is raised higher because this then becomes precious. If I know this other one is going to take some time to grow and have more, because as individuals, we're designed to multiply. So this has to grow, and now one, there's two, and then comes another one and another one. You have to keep compounding the individual and have them grow more and more. But a lot of times we're approaching the situation or the relationship, whatever it is, we're just ripping it off. We ain't even thinking about, oh, okay, whatever. Because we're in a society now where it's, oh, okay, well, if there's another one of these, which would be somebody else or some other situation or some other opportunity, which this person, situation, opportunity is what all these are representing. Now, okay, I can just go get another one and start over. How much did you learn from this one that you had? The one that you had, how much did you learn from it? Did you learn anything from it? Because you have to learn how to sustain. You have to learn how to sustain certain things, certain individuals, whoever it is that you say you love. You have to have the ability to sustain. And if you don't, it's going to fail. It's going to run out. It's going to deplete. And it's eventually going to be no more. This is what happens when people get divorced. Divorce shouldn't be an outcome. It shouldn't be something that is destined to happen. No, it's a result of you not taking care of it. In my book, practically in my book, every relationship has the opportunity to make it and last forever. It doesn't last forever simply because we're not knowledgeable of the fact of what's going on, and most importantly, as a man, you're too ignorant to actually build the situation, build a relationship, and it actually be harmonious for everyone involved. This is why we have issues. Relationships tank because, number one, the man is not knowledgeable enough to turn around and get the most out of a woman, or actually help her bring her emotions down to where there's clarity. Like with her, sir, you have to turn her around and apply these to her. If she can't see, if she's steady looking and she doesn't see it, you need to have the tools. This is a tool. You then have to have the tools to say, oh, okay, let me put these on her so you can see the situation. Hey, baby, how does that look? What do you think about that? Oh, I didn't see it that way. Oh, you helped her. Now a foolish man would turn around and say, yeah, that's right. I put them glasses on your face, to help you see it. No, that's not what you're doing. You shouldn't be doing that. You put these on her. You put the tools on her, and then you turn around and another way up, you uplift. Uplift helps. It helps. But if you're not doing that, man, this is not going to continually benefit you. All you're doing is using this for yourself. And this is how a lot of women feel when you keep breaking this off, and you break it off to the point where all they feel like was you just used them and you didn't replenish them. You didn't build them up. Now, of course, as soon as I said that, all I heard was some people say, are we supposed to be a builder bear? No. It works on both sides. Both sides are actually building up. Like I said, when you're using that, it's building you up. If you're using this and applying it, it's building you up. You're building this back up by it's a cycle. It's like the four seasons. They come around, they doing their thing that they do in order for the world to keep going manifesting the way it's supposed to work. And watering this, feeding it, giving it sunlight and all that other good stuff that it's supposed to have, you're building it back up for it to turn around and build you back up. It's reciprocal. That's what it is. Relationships are reciprocal. If it's only one-sided, then it's a problem. But this last joint here, this one here is individual. It's individuals and it's situations in your life. And it is the one that a lot of people avoid. They will go get this one. They will go get this one. They will go get this one. And they will move all of these out and discard them and use them. And this one here is like the individual we see, they don't mean them no good. That they won't leave them. Or it's the situation, where they're addicted to something and it's so bad for them and they refuse to get rid of it. Why do they refuse to get rid of that thing? It's because it looks like this. This is why people have things in their life, or persons and individuals in their life, and they refuse to get rid of them. Because everybody knows if I touch this thing here, it's going to hurt. And because in this case, each one is something that has happened, or this person or individual has so much that you just don't really want to do anything with it. Now, of course, this is a cactus. Which cactus, I don't really know. I can't tell you which cactus this is because there's various forms of cactus. But I will tell you this: in order to be knowledgeable in dealing with in order to deal with this, you have to be knowledgeable. Now, it says here, cactus. A study found that eating cactus can reduce body fat, blood pressure, and cholesterol levels. Incorporating cactus fruits into your diet can help reduce the risk of diseases like stroke, coronary heart disease, and peripheral vascular disease. Cactuses contain vitamins C, E, A, iron, calcium, and more. So, this thing here, from the outwardly, that if you touch it, it's going to hurt. But if you actually get beyond the prickly things, there's a lot of benefit there. Which is why some people keep situations around, because they know it's a benefit, but they don't technically know how to access the benefit. So it's like talking to somebody. It's like, man, this feels so good. But they're like, man, it's just something. Man, they get on my nerves, but it's just something about them. You know something's there beneficial for you, but you never gain the knowledge to get around it. The individual that comes in your life, you never access them deeply, whether if this was the individual who was hurt or defensive, and now they have this barrier that's up there, You don't know how to get past it. So every time you touch it, it's ow. It's an ouch. But you still keep them around. And now all the situation that you done had in your life now, it's now manifested into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different ones, and you don't know how to turn around and deal with it because you don't have the tools. And even if with the individual, you don't have the tools to deal with this individual. So instead of moving it along, it'll stay there. You'll leave it there. And it's funny because when I bought this in the store, I actually touched this a few times and they were like, why are you touching it? I'm like, that hurts. What are you doing? I said, oh, I was going to use this for a video. It's like, oh, what type of video? Pretty much what things that we have in our life that we don't want to get rid of. We don't want to deal with it. And as soon as I said that, the one guy goes, yeah, you know what, you're right. He said, but that's why I'll pay somebody else to do it. And I instantly said, see, that's my point. And this is what tends to happen. We'd rather someone else handle this than us. And even if this was situations in our own life, we'd rather somebody else handle this than us. We don't want to get our hands dirty. We don't want to get our hands hurt. We don't want to get our feelings hurt. We'd rather somebody else deal with this situation than we deal with it ourselves. And we'd rather pay somebody else to do it because we think they're more, why? Because they became knowledgeable on how to handle a situation. I say, you should call your therapist. Therapist is good now, but you at some point, if this is in your life, you need to be the one to handle it. If this is a woman that you've opted to marry, and this is how she is, you need to be able to handle this situation. You need tools. And if you don't gain the tools, you cannot be proficient. You're inefficient in handling the situation. So therefore, you're technically not a legit leader. You have this individual is in your life and they're just laying doormat because all of the stuff I said all of the stuff that was good here for. So even if this wasn't the cactus, we say the vitamin C, well, no, this is the cactus. We'll say if the good things about this was the individual wasn't vitamin C, E, or D, or whatever. If this was somebody who wants to actually love you and show you and appreciate how much they is and be in your corner and do everything possible for you, you would know how to access it because once you do that, I don't want to touch it. That hurt. So you don't want to deal with you don't want the reward because you refuse to become knowledgeable enough to gain access to the reward. And this is other individuals. This is also individuals who have something there rewarding. It's like I say, friends can become enemies and enemies can become lovers. And then you look at this and like, oh, okay, this cat, them sticky things, that's an enemy to me. But there's a reward underneath that. And if you don't learn how to access it, you're doing yourself an injustice. Now, like I said, all these ones over here that I've already shown you, they take work. This takes work too. But this here, it's more than just work. It's a reality that you have to face. And acceptance of accountability. Especially if this is an issue that's also in your life. If these are issues in your life, you have to accept accountability. And if this was a person that came in your life, you have to accept the fact that, okay, there's a benefit here. How do I access it? You have to be able to access it some kind of way. And you have to have the tools, in which my one tools was in my pocket, I just realized. And I think I sat them over there. Oh, no, it's right here. This is my AV thing, my AV tools I take out when I do AV stuff. But it has various tools and components on this thing. So whether I want to do certain things, now I could be the one guy to do this and be taking all day and just start saying, you know what, in order to access this, I'm just gonna pluck these off. But of course, some people are just simply gonna refuse to have the patience to do this. But like I said, this covers cardiovascular. It helps it, which is one of the most important things on your body. So you also have to understand those things that come to help the most important parts of your life sometimes aren't accessible that easy. It's going to take work, but it's going to benefit you in the long run. You have to be willing to do the work. Now, prior to if you didn't want to do this way, well, I kind of skipped over that part. But in order, if this is a situation that's in your life that has bloomed into this, yeah, I know I'm covering quite a few aspects. You'd have to be able to uproot it. That's going to take courage for you to turn around to uproot it, because if it's grown to this, chances are it's down in there. Oh, it's down in there. So you have to then turn around and pull this out. Unfortunately, this one is not even in there. But being as it may, being stuck and all, it's now off of there. And you have to be willing to get your hands dirty. Go through a little pain. Like I said in a few videos before, pain brings knowledge. Because once that pain hits, your mind and body are now working to not experience that again. How do I get around that? How do I get a better outcome? So if you feel like this is something in your life that needs to be uprooted, or if this was a situation or certain things in your life that grew and they need to be uprooted, you have to actually deal with it. You have to uproot it. You have to go through the pain and hurt to get rid of it. And it doesn't feel good. And that's the issue with certain things that's in your life that don't feel good. You have to either that's liquor coming from it or my fingers starting to whatever. You have to move this. And even if this is the individual where you know that there's beneficial in here, that this is beneficial to you, you still have to get it to a point to where you can do something with it. Oh, I'm looking like, what the heck is on this side. And once you get it off of there, you pull out a different tube. Whether you want to cut this or not, whether you want to get those off of there or not. Now look at that. Because this is still here, it's picking up the residue of other people that was left from behind. I can talk about that, but I'll be in a whole nother place. But just cutting this open, good Lord. And I can smell this too. Very distinctive smell to it. I've never actually cut a cactus open before. But yes, this does have a distinctive smell to it. Cutting this open, I'm sure this is where the benefit is. And it's kind of juicy. But if you never get past the sticky things, you won't know that the individual or the circumstance or whatever situation is juicy. You won't know it. But this here, man, you have to be the one to be capable of diving into it. Whether it's the individual, it's the situation, whatever it is that you feel that is not, or whatever it is, you have to be able to dive into it. Now, this was just one tool I put out. Now, you can go through life and develop more tools. This would be a tool. So you say, if you wanted to uproot this, you've gained enough knowledge to uproot it and to pull it out with a lot easier than just your actual fingers. And therefore, if you needed to pull out what it is you need to pull out, you can do it. Now, prior to that, I was flinching. And all of it's on here. They're on here. Now, I was capable of pulling this out because this provided me another tool to actually go in here and do the job that I wanted to do, which was to pull that out. Now, if I want to turn around, and now before you saw me using this, and I wasn't using another hand. Now that this is here, I now have another tool as to where I could turn around and use both hands. Whether I want to just turn around and go pluck these off and just constantly pick them off. Look how much faster I'm moving. Moving a whole lot faster, getting these off. Why? Because this was knowledge I gained in order to access this. Now, prior to not having these gloves on here, and this, if I was trying to pull this off, matter of fact, I was trying to pull off just a little bit, I wasn't even getting anywhere. Now, that's another interesting aspect. Now, I didn't pull this off. As you see, I didn't pull off some of this, but you just saw right there, this pain, like I said, pain brings knowledge. Now, I got a little comfortable in just doing that, but you saw how quickly I flinched because a few of them got through there. And here's the thing, I'm rubbing my finger because I felt that pretty good. I got real comfortable and was squeezing a little more. Well, it didn't even dawn on me. It just, because, like I said, we're creatures of habit and we get comfortable. So I got comfortable, and that I squeezed it a little too much, as which I was trying to, the more faster I was going, because I was like, oh yeah, this is good, this is good, this is great. We have a tendency to do that. Oh, when things seem like, oh, we got something, we learned something, boom, 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 it's going good, this is great, and next you know, bang, like that, bang. And I still feel that, which is why a lot of times people have a tendency of not wanting to do anything even further, because it's like, oh, I still feel that. That pain there is like, oh, okay, yeah. I don't know if I want to do that again. But how do you become more knowledgeable to actually go further than that? You do this. You gain more knowledge. Now, this is a whole lot thicker than the other one. And when you look at it, it's like, oh, it's got a little two things here on the finger. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can possibly grab that, which is extra comfort. Now when I pick this up, there's no problem. And see, all of this happens in time. So I've been messing around with this one, and which is why I want to do this a little longer. I want to say this for last, because time has gone past. And because time has gone past, I've gained more knowledge. And this is also one of the most important things I feel in relationships that we have to fully understand. Time is going to give us more knowledge to be able to deal with individuals and situations. You're not just gonna breeze through a person or a situation just like that. It doesn't happen that way, because experience, as they say, is the best teacher. So experiences has time going in it. So when time keeps evolving, you should be steady learning. This is why I say in the other video about human beings are the original artificial intelligence, where we keep evolving. And when you keep evolving, you're evolving by you constantly evaluate. So in this situation, you have to evaluate like, oh, I don't want that happening again. So because I don't want that happening again, what do? I went from this to this to this to what now now that I have this, I can handle this even more so, even though it's a little bit bigger and bulkier, but now it still allows me to do this. And as you see, because it's now I'm not even seeing anything with it, I'm moving a lot faster. I'm moving faster than before. Why? Because now I've gained the knowledge of how to be able that's allowed me to access this. And this is why I say, if this was an individual, you have to understand how to unlock, which is why I said everyone in this planet, you can have a relationship with anyone on this. There's no, it's my special person. No, the tools make them special. The tools you gain will make them special. Why? Because the tools will allow you to access them. And once you start accessing them, there's a reward behind it. There's a benefit behind it. What's the benefit? This took work. Let me deal. Let's deal with that. This is taking work. This here is taking work. It's taking time to access this. Now, people want this ready-made. This ready. Oh, okay, yeah. She needs to be able to do such and such. Well, they need to already be good in bed and all this other stuff. There's that ready-made stuff is not genuine. A lot of these relationships and marriages that are like 50 and 40 years took work. It's going to take work. They weren't just ready-made. Why? Because you, as individuals, like I said, we're like artificial intelligence. So you have to learn. You have to learn an individual. And if you're learning them, you're now gaining access to them. And once you gain access to them, you know how to maneuver. You know what they like. You know what they need. And ultimately, it'll turn around and show you what it is you need. Now, I know I'm gonna start taking all these off. But look, as you can see, I'm squeezing this and there's no pricking at all. Because I gained a tool, which, as I love to say, the tools that you gain are knowledge. They're knowledge. And it's allowing you to access. And what you want to do in dealing with and being with someone, or dealing with, however you want to say it, you have to become knowledgeable. And everyone is not the same. Now that I've done all this, I can touch this. I can get even more intimate with it. I can actually bite this if I want to. Why? Because I've taken it all off. Now here's the other part too, which I always say. I tell my son all the time, you cannot be lazy. Why? Because after you've done the work, you got to clean this stuff up. There's cleanup that going to happen. But because again, in society, we've now become so lazy and want something else. Oh, I'll just pay somebody else to clean it up. But you cheated yourself. You've cheated yourself in not cleaning this up, because there's other things you can learn in the cleanup. This is why I did the poopy joint with the emojis, because that mess teaches you something. This mess is going to teach you something. We shouldn't be running away from everything or trying to find someone else to do it. You're not learning much. You're allowing somebody else to learn. So what happens, somebody else learns how to clean all this up. And this is the individual situation that comes along. And then they turn around and see that, not only did they know how to clean up, they actually know how to handle this too. Because there are some people out there who will sit back and watch you do all the work and learn all the stuff and see how you did and how you handle them. But you turn around and you didn't do this part, they turn around and they come in and take over and take it as what it is that you've had. Which is also why you should turn around and be capable of doing it all. Even if you don't constantly do it all, you need to be able, as a man, you need to be sure that you can actually do it all, even if you aren't doing it all. Because it means something. It means a whole lot to show that, okay, if something does go wrong, you can't handle the situation. At least gain some type of knowledge of how to do a lot of things, where you can at least hold a conversation. But yeah, look, I mean, I'm sitting here steady twirling this around. Why? Because I did the work. This was an intimate moment, so to speak. So it allows me to be able to handle this. Now that here's the other big element of this. Now that I've done the work, I can't be a scumbag, or as one of my good buddies, Kevin, loved to say, you can't be a dirtbag. And after you've done all this, damage it. Because now you've taken the layer of defense off. And now if you turn around and you damage this and use it improperly for your own selfish gain, which is why those who look at it, they're going to turn around and call you that hated word now that people love to use, a narcissist, for turning around and stripping this down and then damaging it. That's not a wise move. You gotta show some sense of wisdom here. Because if this is the individual and they allowed you to use the proper tools to get this off of them, and they're thinking, and because you told them that you want the benefits, and then you turn around and mishandle it, this may grow out of control. It may grow a whole lot more, and the next person comes along. Now they got to take off a whole bunch. Or what may happen, which happens a lot, time go past, and this gets bigger. And now that it's a whole lot bigger, individuals like, I ain't finna deal with that. Not realizing, like I say, there's benefit. So if this does get bigger, it's grown more, and there's a lot more potency there. The one who's going to handle that can actually handle it with the right tools. But that tends to happen when individuals who don't know what they're doing, and they turn around and they damage something because they're ignorant of the fact how to handle it. It creates a problem. And as men, we need to fully understand that we are responsible in how we handle situations and women. And if you don't handle the situations or women correctly, you're going to make a mess. You're going to create a toxic environment. You're going to create that based on your ignorance. And then someone has to turn around and come back and do extra work through the healing process. Which is not a fun task. This already, as it is if you don't know and you're just going through the process, it may not be a fun task. But for me, I already knew this, what I was going to do and all that stuff. So you saw me laughing and joking and smiling and all this stuff until I got pricked that one instance. The little fun and games stopped for just a little bit, but for the most part, it was fun and games to me because it was enjoyable because I already knew this. And this is why I said in another video where it's like algebra. When you first learn algebra, it's hard. Once you know it, it's a breeze. And this is why you have to gain knowledge and tools. And when you gain the tools, you have to know how to use them correctly. Because this here, used incorrectly, is dangerous in the wrong hands. This is dangerous in the wrong hands. This is very dangerous in the wrong hands. You can technically kill someone with this. Ignorance can actually kill, you can actually kill your own self with this, with your own ignorance if you don't know how to handle this. So it is important that even with the tools you gain, you need to know how to use them. And if not, you can do a whole bunch of wrong. Because one wrong, as I had to play it out, one wrong cut with this, sever the head of that. You can sever the head of this. It's not something you want to do. So, yeah, I know this is probably video is gonna be long. And I'm sure it could be actually even longer, but I don't want it too much to make it any much longer than what this is. Try to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes. No, I sound like a preacher. Wrap it up in 5 minutes. But no, yeah, man. Knowledge. As we love to say, knowledge is power. But for some reason in our relationships, we tend to overlook gaining more knowledge to be able to interact with the individual. It heightens the intimacy when you know the individual you're with. And then you turn around and be able to diffuse, or in this case, scale issues. The prickly things that was on here that stick me were an issue. They were an issue. But now, if I wanted to, I can just slice this open. And if I did slice this open, the smart thing to do, because this was a living organism that was growing, is to show, if this was a woman, to show that I actually enjoyed opening this and using it to benefit me. When you do that with a woman, she's going to turn around and she's going to allow you to do it again. Because you're showing an appreciation. You're showing that, oh, I enjoy this. And she's going to turn around and say, okay, because she wants to help, she's going to let you enjoy more. When you do it in the right manner. And boy, oh boy, I tell you this thing, boy, every time I pick it up, it's wet. For those adults who are watching this, if you caught that, when you handle it right, it's going to be aroused. Handle it with care, she's going to be aroused. She's going to appreciate you. She's going to show you some type of sign. When you don't, it ain't going to be like the song, Open the Floodgates of Heaven. That ain't happening. It's not happening. You're going to dry up like the Sahara Desert. Like, get him out of here. Next. You know what? I'm going to call Bobby. I remember what Bobby used to do. At least he didn't do me like such and such. So now you mad because now the other dude that came along. Oh, man. Anyway, like I said, I want to wrap this up in 5 minutes. Oh, man. Go out here, get knowledge, seek knowledge from somebody who seems to be ahead of you. Gain as much as you can get, whatever situation. Listen to other people's situations and things that they've gone through. It's going to actually help build to the knowledge. Like I always say, evaluate. There were times in my younger years, in 20s and teens, where I would just sit back and go out, was a mall, store, a park, wherever, and just sit back and just watch people. Restaurant too. Sometimes I just go to restaurants and watch couples and see how they interact with each other. You're learning. It allows you to learn and ask questions with your elders. And so maybe somebody will tell you something, maybe somebody won't. But the best thing you can do is gain as much knowledge and become proficient as possible, especially in this relationship world. And it seems to be a tendency that we don't want to actually gain the knowledge and tools for relationship, because for some reason, I guess we think that it's supposed to be like Lucky Charms, are just magically delicious and it just boom, pop up, and that's how it is. But it's not. It is really not. And really got to learn how that we as men, that we think logically, and as women they think emotionally, which are two different things. And we're not going to approach everything the same way. There may be some similarities there, but we're not going to approach it the same way. And we got to understand, like, okay, I appreciate this is how you look at it. Appreciate this is how he looks at it. And then put it together so you can create that balance. Because it's like going across. If somebody comes along and starts walking on it, it's not a problem because it's balance. Now, it's a problem when it's this. And you got to either, if it depends on how big they are, they either got to jump up here or make one big leap step to get up here. And then they turn around and jump up and down, climb up. After so long, your joints and stuff are going to be like, I don't want to keep doing this. This is why those who live in the Midwest or the East Coast move to the South, because they say, I'm sick of this. I need some balance. I need the weather to be right to where my body can turn around and be a certain way. And this is the same thing with relationships. You want it to be balanced, because when it's balanced, it's not as hard. But requires tools to get balanced. Even when you do construction work, you have to have that tool there to actually tell you if it's balanced or not. Because if it's not balanced, like I said, in the AV world, when you setting up a stage and it's an act, you got to make sure that stage is right for the act to get up on it, or it's going to be a lawsuit. It's going to be some problems. It's going to be some pain. And you're going to learn knowledge the wrong way because they fell off that stage. Now you learn the knowledge and your pockets is taking a hit because they finna sue your tail. Having a relationship, you don't want to get it to the point where there's a detriment. Gain as much knowledge as possible. As I always say, because now it's over. I don't want to be like preaching like I need 5 more minutes. No, it's over. As I always say, fix your face, fix your spirit, scale the bones, eat the fish, spit out the bones. Take whatever it is you can take from what I've said. I hope this has blessed you. I hope it's made you think about certain things. If there's situations in your life, don't be afraid to handle it. If it's individuals, find the good in it, understand and look and try to dive in if you're willing to do the work so you can benefit from this, because that which has more and more painful may have a bigger blessing down the line, or may be more potent and good for you. You just have to be knowledgeable enough to understand what's there. With that being said, it's your boy Will by Craven. I'm out. Peace.